Let's start right away by presenting the limited special model for our 60th anniversary. Sport Chronograph Model 144 STS Anniversary 2. Sinn Spezialuhren is celebrating its 60th anniversary. To present our latest innovations in our anniversary year, we're welcoming a special guest who's been a follower of our brand for decades, even when facing sports challenges at -40 degrees in Canada's Yukon Territory. He says about himself that he's fascinated by anything with gears: watches, bicycles, e-bikes, motorcycles, cars and motorhomes. So in other words, toys for big boys. Technology is in his blood. His career began at Porsche. Later, he packaged this passion in expert terminology. As a hired journalist for daily papers at first, the Motor Press in Stuttgart, and for the DPA. For 20 years, he's been writing and photographing Freelance for, among others, the German wristwatch trade journal Armbanduhren and the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. He has a personal foible for chronographs and technical innovations. His reports are authentic and hands-on, because he always writes about his own experiences with the product. That's why we appreciate him so much and are thrilled to meet up again with Martin Häußermann.
Grüß dich, Martin.
Hello, Martin. Great to have you here, that you've come to our 60th anniversary. And I want to get right to it and present to you our anniversary model, limited to 600 pieces, model 144 in black.
So, first, thanks for the invitation. It's just great that we can get together again now after almost 1 year, and on just such an occasion as this. I really feel honoured to be one of the first to see these watches, especially this watch, because it reminds me a little bit of my very first watch of all, also matte black from back in the 80s. Oh, that has turned out wonderfully.
As I said, limited to 600, and it's only available as a set like this with a solid bracelet, like you have, and with a silicone strap. Both straps are included, and the customer also has the opportunity to switch them out, him or herself. The tools included.
But here you have to be a little handy with the tool.
Yes, the model has been in the collection since 1974. That was before my time, before I took over the company in 1994. But back then, with mineral glass and not with the technology we have today. Today, the watch is 20 bar pressure resistant, meaning 200 meters waterproof, has sapphire crystal glass, and that on both sides. And now it has another technology I explained to you once in a very special way, our Ar-Dehumidifying Technology. That's it. You already know it from other watches. And what a dew point is, I explained that to you too in a special way back then. Do you remember at the trade fair?
That I can remember very well at your stand at the fair.
And that's how I want to explain it to you again now.
Okay.
It's the same sparkling wine, isn't it? We had Sinn sparkling wine back then too, didn't we?
Indeed we did. I know it well.
With the humidity here in this room, I'd estimate the dew point to be around 10 degrees Celsius. And the drink, let's say around 5 degrees. So then there's a little bit of moisture on the glass.
I noticed that. When air condenses on the cold glass and creates water droplets on it, that's then the famous dew point.
Exactly. And the drier the air, the lower the dew point.
To 60 years of Sinn.
60 years.
Yeah, 60 years of Sinn is quite a long time. But we've known each other for a long time too. It's been a good 20 years now. That's also why I put on this watch this morning. This, as you call it, multifunctional chronograph, on which you really can read an unbelievable number of things. This is also really my first Sinn watch. And at that time I was with you in Fultjen, when you were developing this watch for an extreme sporting event in Canada, the Fulda Challenge. And the special thing was, I was allowed to take it off on a field test right away. Used it for a whole week at temperatures down to minus 40 degrees Celsius. And that's why it's a very special keepsake for me.
Great, I'm glad you have such good memories of that. Yes, back then we made our first watches with Ar-Dehumidifying Technology down to minus 45 and up to plus 80 degrees Celsius. This watch can withstand those. And the watch here with Ar-Dehumidifying Technology, we've filled it here with protective gas that has an extremely low dew point of less than minus 100 degrees. And so that it also remains dry inside the watch, we put a drying capsule inside it too.
So that ensures that the watch glass doesn't get condensation on it even at minus 40 degrees or colder. It doesn't fog up.
You see it's white now behind the glass. Then, when over time it absorbs moisture, it turns blue. We want to make sure that there's no humidity in the watch. That's why we've filled it with protective gas that's appropriately dry. Over the years, the capsule will then turn blue, and due to the dry air inside, the lubricant, the oil, keeps longer. That's why we give a 3-year warranty on watches with Ar-Dehumidifying Technology.
But when it turns blue, it alerts you that it's time to bring the watch into you for service.
You don't have to, it just becomes a normal watch, but it shows that you can have it exchanged here. That's an easy process.
How's it coated?
The watch is first tegimented, and onto this tegimented surface we then apply a black hard coating. We've applied it especially to the tegimented surface so that the eggshell effect doesn't occur. If the lower layer is soft, if the case is not hardened, then if you bang the watch on some object, it's the black hard coating that cracks. And that's what we want to avoid here. We're the only ones who do, the Sinn company.
Yes, I can still remember my first watch, and that's how it was. There wasn't this technology back then. It was actually anodized black, and as soon as you banged it against something, you saw that on the metal at once.
So this here will hold up for a long time in this form.
And it stays looking good.
Perhaps now, briefly, to the red hands. They are particularly bright. I don't know whether it works like this. You can shine the light on them yourself.
That is totally cool.
If you take a very careful look at the dial, you'll see that the 60 is displayed there in red. That's supposed to mean 60 minutes, but because it's in red, it points to our 60th anniversary.
That's an extremely practical anniversary for a watchmaker.
And the white counters, good, we didn't have those back then. They're now special so that you can also better distinguish this watch from the past model. I also think it comes across really well too.
Yes, it has a very calming effect, because the white counters just stand for the chronograph function. The red hands, so this interplay of hands, someone really thought all this through so well.
The crown is screwable. I simply can't list all the things we have here in this watch. It's a little techno pack.
And it also has a really nice size. I just wore it on my wrist.
People felt it was a very large watch in its time. Today, with 41 diameter...
You're more in lower mid-range.
Yes, it's a large watch, but there are larger ones.
Now, I just have to take a quick look at the silicone strap. People really didn't do something so daring back then. In those days, a sports watch had to have a massive bracelet, but that it now has a silicone strap. I find it was really well done. Above all because the silicone strap picks up on the shape of the case in a really lovely way. And as far as wearing comfort is concerned, I know from my own experience, I hugely appreciate a silicone strap.
A silicone strap is really very comfortable to wear.
Also nice, And perhaps we have to say it one more time. It's also beautiful because here it immediately slopes off very steeply. So it also fits really well on thin wrists. So when we look at both watches, then we know what is meant by the term timeless. That means a watch in the collection since the 70s, virtually unchanged except for a little freshening up of the optics. I find that truly very notable. And I also find that it really fits well with the anniversary this year.
Thank you. That's a wonderful compliment.
The most important details at a glance. Sports chronograph for our 60th anniversary. Launched in 1974. Set limited to 600 pieces. Case with black hard coating on a TEGIMENT Technology basis. Ar-Dehumidifying Technology. Sapphire crystal glass on both sides. Waterproof and pressure resistant to 20 bars.